So I'll pop down just a little bit of burnt umber and we'll work that in. That immediately will create that separation for us. So I'll leave him there like that. And I think for this guy, let's make a darker version as well. So let's take, say, that, and take, what the heck, we'll take all that black, all that brown, and get ourselves a nice dark one too. A little bit more burnt umber in there. I want to see the difference. It must physically look a little bit brown. When it's got that little brown tint to it, then you know you're going to see the difference. If you can't see that tint, it's going to look exactly the same. And the same will go over here. Just clean off the knife. So if you add it into the one, you've got to add it into the lot of them. Just a touch of that in there. So it's just got that slight tint. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a basic little shading over here. So let's get that whole wall in the scene. From dark all the way down to a lighter color over here, and that's just going to add that bit of interest, and then we'll suggest some of these bricks and things and some of this old dilapidated there's cracks and goodies like that, and then we'll come back in and we'll paint the wall just like it would have really happened. So let's see, where can we put down maybe if I put down the picture over there. So I'm just going to start at the top, work my way down this absolute basic shading. Oh yeah, we've actually got that other little roof up the top there, right? Alright, well, we'll deal with him. Let's first, now that because I'm working in acrylics, once I've started I can't stop. So we'll squeeze him in afterwards. That's fine. What's nice about this darker piece here at the top is that it gives us a good contrast for against the sky as well. Gives us a definite break there. Okay, down this edge over here, it's sort of got an extra little piece there, so I think we'll do that. We'll leave that gap open there. Now gradually go lighter. You'll also see later these two little signs that are on the wall. I put the one skew. Again, just to really bring out that rough effect. I'm not going to bother with a perfect shading. It's going to be a rough wall, so you can shade it in quite rough. And now you can also see that the power of the mask, because now I can paint straight over that telephone pole, and over those signs, absolutely no worries at all. Saves a lot of time. So I'll pop that in there over there. Alright, so Now we can start roughening this up. So I'm going to take, let's go back to the palette there. Let's get a little bit more of our Payne's grey on the palette. And a bit more white. So now I'm gonna mix up a darker one. So I'll just do that. Take some more of the Payne's grey, the one next to it, a bit more burnt umber. That should be fine. And I'll take the whole brush. I think let's go for a bit of a smaller brush. It's going to give us a flatter point when it's full of loaded with paint. So again, just a bristle brush. You see I'll pick up the paint this side and that side, so that it forms me sort of a chisel point like that. Nina, just to confirm, yes, I'm painting in acrylics today. And now what we want to do is create this rough texture, those cracks and stuff. That's what we're going to be doing now. So I'm judging everything that I do now according to the top of the roof. I need things to be straight. Remember, those bricks are the same height. So I'm just going to very roughly tap. Just here and there. And every now and again I'll load up the brush. It's a very gentle tapping. And that's going to give me that bit of a rough look. And maybe if I want to crack, I'll maybe put down a little, just using the corner of the brush. Just a little dab like that, here and there. And that's basically what I'm going to be doing now. Just adding a few little rough dabs and dashes like this. Down here we've got there's quite a solid one over there. And running down that crack over there like that. Now we can actually block this guy in. We'll use the lighter version like we had at the bottom. As he goes down, he's actually becoming darker and darker. And I think we'll give him a bit of an odd shape as well. So maybe this is, there used to be plaster on this wall at some stage. It's gone now. So this here is just a little piece of that plaster that's left. Alright, so back to our colors over here. So here we got that little bit of just a few dabs and dashes. It goes really quick, and that gives us those cracks running along down the side there like that. Let's maybe add one over here, and maybe just one over there. That's more than enough. Alright, I'm going to wash the brush now. As Nina says, it looks like a mask. If you look at the wall, because you've got those two eyes, and then the graffiti makes the mouth. Okay, I'm going to give this a quick dry off, because I want to do some dry brushing. If you are in oils, you can just carry on. It's fine. Just thin down your paint a bit more. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'll just use, say, the lighter version. So in other words, this guy over here, pick up a little bit of that, and again with a smaller brush. This is the number, oh, it hasn't got a number, looks like about a number 8. And now again, just to get a bit of a feel for the bricks running across, just here and there, I'm going to just very gently just dry brush in just a few little lines running across there like that. Don't forget to have some coming out the picture and some coming in the picture there like that to give us that continuity. And you can add a few little down dashes as well. Short ones going down, and not too many. You don't want to create a tic-tac-toe board. There, like that. Alright, now I'm going to use just neat white. Now we're going to add these real rough little marks where the water has been running down. So let's go back to here and I'll show you. See how far I can zoom in. You see these little marks over here like that? We're going to be creating those kind of effects now. So just use neat white, and then along these dark lines that we initially put in, just again add a few little dabs and dashes like this, and then just gently, just using the corner, just drag them down here and there. Again, use different lengths. Remember, our whole idea here is we want to create a rough texture. So just like that. Maybe there it breaks up and stops, and you've got that kind of a thing. So I'll do that here and there. Just add a few little rough patches in there. But there's something running quite far down. And you can do the same with the dark one as well. Music is asking, what's a tic-tac-toe board? Noughts and crosses. Maybe you notice noughts and crosses. Let's drag a few of these guys down a little bit longer. So maybe we've got some water that's been running down here over the years. I think while we're at it, we may as well just, those two signs, they've got a little bit of height, so they'll cast a little bit of a shadow. So I'll just take this the darkest version that we've used, that we've mixed up, and just add a thin little line underneath there. And our sun is coming from the little bit of sun we've got is coming from left to right. So I'll add a line there. So I'm going right up against my mask, using that as my ruler. Not a thick line. Remember, they haven't got much height. Just a little bit like that. So I'm actually going slightly over the mask to make sure my line stays thin. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to I think let's quickly do that top piece before we forget him, eh? That little bit of corrugated roof at the top there. So I'll just use a fine round brush. Let's grab this guy over here. And I think I'm going to use neat black for that. The Payne's grey. It's really dark. Now to get that corrugated effect, as I go across, I'm not going to paint it in a straight line, I'm just going to wiggle. Now you're never going to get perfect corrugations, so don't even try. If you wiggle, that's good enough. And again, you see I'm going straight over that mask, eh? I'm painting as though that lamp isn't there. It comes down and there's a little duty over there. I don't know what that is. So what the heck, we'll put him in. Why not? Yeah, maybe it's a part of those beams that the corrugated iron is stuck onto or something, eh? You see, this is so thin, I'm not even going to try and put any kind of shading in there, it's not necessary. Just blocking him in. Who knows, maybe there's a little chip out of this wall over here. So let's work in a little chip. There's a few little dents and dabs and dashes. Just to roughen that up. Why not? Music is now wondering how did the game get to be called tic-tac-toe? You can beat me with a stick. Alright, so let's go and paint our wall. Let's go and paint over the previous guy's graffiti. So what I think I'll do, guys, obviously I used white paint, but I don't want pure white, otherwise it's going to start competing with, it's going to attract too much attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take white and then just add a little bit of, knife is still full of black, that little bit of color that we had over there. I'm just going to mix that in so that I've got a lighter version of it. I'll have to pop some more white in there, seeing as there was that other black, or the paint's grey that was still on my brush, or still on my knife. There we go, that's fine. That'll give us a lighter version there. And let's go and paint that wall. Now again, that wall has been painted really rough. It's just scrubbed on with a roller quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, I think I'll stick with a bristle brush for this one. Let's do that. So I'll start at the bottom. And I'm going to just scrub this in. I think I'm going to just add a little bit of water just to thin it down so that it flows a bit easier. So I don't want to get perfect coverage. That's not the idea here. We want to get a rough coverage. So the guys quickly sort of rolled it on. Can you see how I'm using the roller? He was in a hurry. He just wanted to get the words away. Maybe the guy wrote something ugly there. Who knows? So some places you'd maybe have gone over a bit more than the others, so that would be a bit more solid. But other times it won't. Who knows, maybe it was the kids that actually added some paint on there so they could pop their graffiti on, eh? Who knows? Okay, so really rough rough coverage there like that, and that's going to give us our rough painted one. I don't know, maybe it was, some stage it was neatly painted, and then it was over painted again. So let's add a little bit of a line there, just for interest's sake. Yeah, another name for tic-tac-toe is X's and O's, eh? Alright, so what I'm going to do now is grab my knife, and I think we can take those masks off. We've created our texture there now. Happy with that. Now I masked these guys off because they blue signs, and I know my French ultramarine that I'm going to use is semi-transparent, so that means if I painted that solid first, I would lose that vibrancy there. Now guys, don't try, and when you're doing something like this, you know, these signs are incidentals. They're just there to sort of add interest. So your idea here is not to paint that sign exact. You're going to suggest that sign. So I think what I do need to do though is just give myself a feel for where do those numbers and things go in there. So I'll just use my carbon paper, and then let's see, we've got almost a little TV screen kind of shape over there. Same thing over here. Actually, that guy, I have now moved him, so he's not quite in the right position. That's fine. Alright, so I'm going to use some neat French ultramarine and my fine liner. Let's block him in. He's got a little bit of a white outline, so we'll leave a little gap there. Maybe these are for sale signs or something, eh? The owner's now sick of everybody graffitiing on his walls. He's going to get rid of the property. I'm working as quick as I can. You can obviously now take a bit more time with yours. I think maybe let's add that little bit of yellow in the bottom there. Why not? So we'll take some yellow there. Now to get that sort of effect that there's wording, I'm just going to carefully line over there, and then just dabs and dashes in between. So I'm not going to try and get text. It's sort of just going to be little pieces of those yellow that are going to shine through between the blue, and that'll give you that impression that there's wording there. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of cadmium red. Let's block that guy in over there. And his twin on the other side. Let's maybe use a bit of cerulean. No, I think let's just take, I'm going to take some white and add some ultramarine to it, just to get a lighter blue. Seems to be a few little lines in that sign over there, so let's do that. Cool, I'll dry him off and then we can add the text. So let's say use French ultramarine here. You see how quick I'm working? It doesn't need to be perfect. Remember, this is not the focal point, anything like that. This is sort of just all little incidentals. Now we can use some titanium white. And we add a 33 in there. And then here we're going to just create the impression that there's some text going on over there. So just dabs and dashes. So you're not even trying to get any writing going on there. And there seems to be something else written over there as well. And that's it, 2 signs done. Okay, the next one is let's get some graffiti going on there. So I'll do that. So what I have done here with my picture is, let me just do that. What I've done here with this is I've printed out my picture to the correct size. So I've printed it in my software program. I've printed out tile pages. So that allows me to sort of put it exactly the correct size. And then I use masking tape at the top of the, sort of as a hinge at the top of the canvas. And that allows me to flip this picture of mine backwards and forwards. So my mask is always in place. And Dennis has finally figured out what it says here on the graffiti. It took a while. It was like this, I hear this eureka moment here behind me. Oh, it says rain. And if you're wondering where on earth did I get this text from, there's actually a website called graffiticreator.net. Just do a Google search for graffiti, create graffiti free or something like that. But it allows you to add all sorts of fancy things to it. We won't make ours quite fancy because my idea here is I don't want this to compete with the umbrella. So the idea is I'm going to make it look as though it's faded out. So it's been there for a few years now already. That'll allow me to bring in the correct colors to create that color harmony without it competing. So I'm just checking that I've got everything in there. And here's an old sign. There's also a possibility that maybe this white paint was painted now over all this graffiti here. Who knows? So now it's sort of just still shining through a bit. It's just not as prominent as what it originally was. So that should be that for there. Okay, so what you can see is we've got, it goes from green to yellow to red. So we're going to take some green, yellow and red. So I think what I'll do is let's use a clean palette for this guy. Then we know we're not going to get any greys on them. So I'm going to use some cadmium yellow. And I'll pop a whole heap of water in it. So we're going to do thin little, basically little color washes to make that look old and faded. So I'll take a little bit of cadmium yellow into lots of water. If you're working in oils, you're going to use lots of medium. And then I'm going to give this the whole graffiti a coat. Make him a little bit more intense than that. Very quick. Very quick. Yellow is our weakest color, so I know I can fill in the whole guy like that using this. The green will kill him quickly, and so will the red. Plus, we want to get a little bit of a fading between the guys. See how quick I'm working? The guy probably used a spray gun or a spray can to do this in the first place. Yeah, like that. Alright, now here in the center piece I wanted a little bit more intense. I'm adding a little bit more cadmium yellow into the water just to get this area here a little bit more intense. Don't make it too intense. That should be fine. Alright, so now you can add maybe just a little bit of blue to the mix. What I've got here is I've got a, what's it called? Light permanent green. It's sort of a grassy greeny color. So I'll pick up a little bit of that and I'm working it into the water. I'll pop that in the top and then we'll just fade it away. Let it run in because this is so wet over there. It's just, as I put it down, we're almost painting like in watercolors here at the moment. Because it's so wet. I'll come back in and just add a little bit more up the top to make sure the top is more intense than as it goes down. Like that. Okay, now we'll use a little bit of cadmium red. So again, I'm just going to pick up a little dot and work it into this yellow over here. And then we start at the bottom and we work our way up. See how quick I'm working? I'm adding a little bit more red to it so that I can get them a little bit more intense at the bottom, same as before, same as what we did with the green. And just gently work it in to get a little bit of a fading. Okay, that should do the trick for there. While I've got the red, add a little bit more into the water to get it a bit more intense. And let's do this guy over here. So all I'm doing there is just using that thickness of the brush to form the thickness of the letters. Alrighty, let's dry him off. Now just use a dark color, so let's maybe take some black into some of this. That's fine. Again, I'm going to use lots of water. I want him thin like an ink so he can flow. I'm just using my fine line, and I'm just going to go and outline these guys. Maybe here's another dull one over here, so I'll just use a dull blue. A few little dabs and dashes just to give you a feel for there's something else there. Okie dokie, let's move on to the other side. So let's just get a feel for where we are. So we've done all that, the background sky, we've done all this. So now I'm going to keep this reasonably plain over here. And we'll put in our figure and our foreground.